Family time with the mayor's family, Rihanna, Asaprocky, their kids, and relatives. Love, laughter, legacy, and the quiet magic behind the fame. The moment that no one sees. There is a version of Rihanna that doesn't exist on stages, magazine covers, or red carpets. In that version, her voice is softer not because it needs to be, but because the room is small and filled with the sound of tiny feet padding across hardwood floors. Her laughter isn't polished or rehearsed. It bursts out suddenly, uncontrolled, the way laughter does when you're home and safe. There are toys scattered across the living room, a half-drunk cup of tea on the counter, and a child tugging at her leg with the urgency that only toddlers possess. Across the room, Rakim Mayers, known to the world as Asaprocky, is crouched on the floor, fully invested in a game that has no rules and no clear ending. He's wearing something effortlessly stylish, of course, but right now it's smeared with fingerprints and possibly mashed banana. He doesn't care. This is the mayor's family in their truest form. Not the Met Gala version. Not the paparazzi snapshot. Not the myth. Just family. And it's here, in these quiet, unguarded moments, that one of the most fascinating modern love stories unfolds, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily, intentionally, and with a tenderness that surprises even the most devoted fans. From icons to individuals. To understand the magic of the mayor's family, you have to first understand the weight they carry as individuals. Rihanna is not just a pop star. She is a global force, a woman who reshaped music, fashion, and beauty on her own terms. She's been admired, scrutinized, adored, and misunderstood. Every move she's ever made has been watched, analyzed, and archived. Asaprocky, meanwhile, has always existed at the crossroads of artistry and rebellion. A rapper, a style icon, a tastemaker, he's someone who never quite fit into a box and never tried to. His confidence has always been quiet but unshakable, his creativity fluid and fearless. When two people like that come together, the world expects fireworks. What it didn't expect was peace. A friendship before the romance. Before they were lovers, before they were parents, before the headlines and the matching outfits, Rihanna and Rocky were friends. Real friends. The kind who laugh easily, who understand each other without explanation, who don't need to impress. That foundation, often overlooked in celebrity relationships, became the backbone of everything that followed. They shared industry experiences, creative worlds, and a mutual understanding of fame's absurdities. They knew what it felt like to be loved by millions and still feel profoundly alone. They also knew how rare it was to find someone who didn't want something from you, someone who just wanted you. When their friendship evolved into something deeper, it didn't feel rushed or performative. It felt inevitable. And when children entered the picture, that same grounded energy followed. The shift that changes everything. Becoming a parent changes everyone, but for people whose lives have been defined by movement, attention, and ambition, the shift can feel seismic. For Rihanna, motherhood didn't dim her power. It reframed it. She became more selective. More intentional. More anchored. Suddenly, time wasn't measured in tour schedules or fashion weeks, it was measured in naps, milestones, and moments you don't want to miss. Her priorities reorganized themselves naturally, without apology. For Rocky, fatherhood unlocked a different kind of presence. The cool confidence was still there, but now it was layered with patience, protection, and pride. He wasn't just thinking about his legacy as an artist anymore, he was thinking about the kind of man his children would grow up watching. Together, they didn't just become parents. They became partners in something bigger than either of them. Inside the mayor's household. The mayor's home, wherever in the world it happens to be at the moment, is not defined by extravagance, even though luxury exists. It's defined by rhythm. Morning routines begin slowly. There's music playing softly in the background, sometimes reggae, sometimes hip-hop, sometimes something entirely unexpected. Breakfast is chaotic in the way all family breakfasts are, filled with half-eaten plates and laughter over nothing at all. Rihanna is hands-on, unpretentious. She's the mom who gets down on the floor, who lets her kids explore, who understands that messes are proof of life being lived. She doesn't perform motherhood, she inhabits it. Rocky is playful, expressive. He narrates everything, turning ordinary moments into stories. He's the dad who makes up songs on the spot, who carries his kids on his shoulders like it's the most important job in the world. Their parenting style isn't rigid or performative. It's intuitive. It's rooted in love, respect, and a shared belief that children should feel safe enough to be themselves. Raising kids away from the noise. One of the biggest challenges for celebrity parents is protecting their children from the weight of their parents' fame. Rihanna and Rocky are acutely aware of this. They don't hide their children out of fear, but they also don't expose them unnecessarily. They understand that privacy is a gift, not a luxury, and they treat it as such. In their home, fame doesn't matter. There are no titles, no personas, no expectations to live up to an image. There's just family learning, growing, making mistakes, and figuring things out together. They want their kids to know who they are before the world tells them who they should be. Love in the small things. The most powerful thing about Rihanna and Rocky as a couple isn't their style, their chemistry, or their public appearances. It's how comfortable they are in the quiet moments. They communicate without spectacle. They support each other without overshadowing. There's no competition, only collaboration. When Rihanna is focused on her business empire, Rocky steps in seamlessly. When Rocky is immersed in creativity, Rihanna becomes his grounding force. They move like a team, not two stars orbiting each other, but two people walking side by side. Their love isn't loud. It's secure. Cultural roots and identity. Both Rihanna and Rocky carry deep cultural identities that shape how they parent. Rihanna's Barbadian roots influence everything, from music played in the house to the food on the table to the values she passes on. She wants her children to understand where they come from, to feel connected to a lineage that existed long before fame. Rocky brings his Harlem upbringing into the mix, a sense of style, resilience, creativity, and self-expression that refuses to be muted. Together, they're raising children who are not just loved, but rooted. Children who will grow up knowing that their identity is multifaceted, powerful, and their own to define. The balance between public and private. When the world does catch glimpses of the mayor's family, through a photo, a public appearance, or a rare candid moment, it's striking how normal they look. Not boring. Not ordinary. But real. There's affection without performance. Protection without control. Joy without exaggeration. They understand the power of visibility, but they don't let it dictate their lives. They choose when to be seen and when to disappear, and that choice is a form of freedom. Lessons in modern partnership. What makes the mayor's family so compelling isn't just who they are, it's what they represent. They challenge outdated narratives about gender roles, celebrity relationships, and parenting. There's no hierarchy in their household. No rigid expectations. Just mutual respect and shared responsibility. They show that love doesn't have to be dramatic to be deep. That success doesn't have to come at the cost of intimacy. That family can be built intentionally, even in the most extraordinary circumstances. Legacy beyond the spotlight. One day, their children will grow up and learn exactly who their parents were to the world. They'll see the awards, the influence, the cultural impact. But what will matter most is what they remember from inside the house. The laughter. The music. The way their parents looked at each other. The feeling of being safe. That is the legacy Rihanna and Asaprocky are building, not one defined by fame, but by love. Why this story matters. In a world obsessed with spectacle, the mayor's family offers something radical: authenticity. They remind us that behind every icon is a human being. Behind every headline is a life being lived. And behind every successful partnership is effort, patience, and choice. Their story isn't perfect. It's not meant to be. It's real. And that's what makes it beautiful. The quiet ending that isn't an ending at all. Somewhere, right now, Rihanna is probably humming softly while rocking one of her children to sleep. Rocky is nearby, maybe scrolling through music ideas, maybe just watching, taking it all in. There's no audience. No cameras. No applause. Just a family, in a moment that belongs only to them. And that, more than any chart topping song or sold out show, is the truest measure of success. The mayor's household relatives aren't background figures, they're pillars. Grandparents offer wisdom and grounding. Aunts and uncles bring laughter, playfulness, and guidance. Cousins provide companionship and shared childhood memories. Rihanna has often spoken about the influence of her family, especially the strength of the women who helped raise her. That influence carries forward as she creates a home where elders are respected and included, not sidelined. Rocky, equally family-oriented, values the presence of relatives who knew him long before fame. These are the people who remind him who he was, who he is, and who he wants to be as a father. Together, they ensure their children grow up understanding that family isn't just immediate, it's collective.